Good morning to you. Mark Sutton with HurricaneTrack.com here with your hurricane outlook and discussion. It's now Tuesday, the 8th day of September 2020. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. Got the old graphic back. I cannot access my Gmail on this laptop for some reason. I don't know if it's the IP. And it's like, why are you in Denver? But I can't get the graphics that one of our crowdfunding folks, Kari, put this cool graphic together, and I can only see it on my phone. I should just hold the phone up and show you. So anyway, I'm back to the old Hurricane Outlook and Discussion title card. Don't worry, Kari, we'll get this Gmail thing fixed soon enough. Where am I? By the way, I'm in Denver. Yes, I said Denver, Colorado. Why am I here? Well, I like interesting weather, and to say that it's interesting out here is an understatement. Very cold air draining in out of Canada. The first big cold shot of the season coming down into the Rockies here. I had some thunderstorms last night east of Denver. Now it's snowing and it's getting cold. It was in the low 90s yesterday. Just a patchwork of very disruptive yet interesting weather. I mean, no question about that. It is interesting, but unfortunately, it's also disruptive. Some of these wind gusts, 85 miles per hour. 30 to 60 in some areas as well. The strong high pressure that's moving in out of Canada is going to lead to a tremendous amount of cold and winter storm activity, snow, high wind, the fire danger, just a real big impact system. And so because of our support from Patreon and our crowdfunding, I've always wanted to expand to cover other weather events using the same methodology, setting up equipment, not just chasing storms and filming it from my vehicle. Pretty much anybody can do that, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I like to immerse you in it and show you what's going on. So that's why I'm out here in the Mile High City. Pretty interesting place. It was all smoky yesterday from the fires that are nearby, but look at what's going on over on the West Coast. All of Nevada, all of California practically. It's a dangerous situation as well as interesting at the same time. Very dry air coming in, not related to the tropics at all, and I know that, but lower 48 weather, a lot of you that support what I'm doing, you live in these areas too, so it's important we talk about not just hurricane issues, but other high impact weather events as well. This is what it looks like. I've got the cameras set up. Met a really nice guy over here named Scott, who I got introduced to because of one of our patrons, one of our supporters. His name is Matt. Matt is from Austin. Scott and his family are over in the Black Forest area, not far from Colorado Springs. And this is a live shot from Scott's backyard, looking out towards Pikes Peak, way in the distance. You can't see it because it's cloudy and snowing. That's about 7,500 feet of elevation that we're looking at there. It's also snowing at our camera that I set up with my good friend Tim, also another one of our longtime friends and supporters. He came out from Virginia to work with me on this. This is Interstate 25. That's northbound traffic, and it's snowing there. It was 90-something degrees. It just depends on where you are in the area. 91, 92, 93. Yesterday, we stood there sweating yesterday, and today it is snowing. Vehicle cam is off at the moment. I'll turn that back on in just a little while when Tim and I head out. Over here in the Watkins area, this is east, out on 70, in the general direction of Lyman, not far from the airport. This is just a big interchange out there that actually Kari, one of our crowdfunding folks from the UK, she picked this out using Google Street View and suggested it for me, and it worked. So there you go. I didn't get to use your graphic, but I did get to use the shot that you selected. Excellent work. But this is what it's all about, folks. I do this for hurricanes, and now I want to be able to do this for, oh look, there's the folks in the chat. I want to do this for other high impact weather as well. All right, and we've done a good job with it for hurricanes. Imagine what we can do covering snowstorms, like this on the high plains and the front range of the Rockies, nor'easters, lake effect snow, severe weather in the springtime, maybe even covering some of the fires out west using this immersive technology. And just to let you know too real quick, it's not just the visual. This is neat to see. Everybody wants to see what's going on. I can place you in it. But we've also put, Tim and I, every one of these places has a little Kestrel data sensor collecting temperature, pressure, and humidity from all of these sites. We'll collect that. It'll be really interesting to see. And just try to bring the science into it. It's exciting to track interesting weather like this, but we know sometimes the weather can turn against us, and it can be downright dangerous. We don't want to lose sight of that fact, and try to keep the whole thing in perspective. Take what we've done with hurricanes and expand it into other weather coverage. All right, so speaking of hurricanes, yes, it's the peak time of the hurricane season, and we've got a lot to track. 94L might become a tropical depression as it heads in towards the North Carolina coast here over the next few days. I will be back tomorrow night. So I will be back in case this does make landfall. I'm not too concerned with it. Then we have Paulette, tropical storm, trying to get its act together, but it's got some wind shear right out here that's going to be impacting it in this area. So Paulette's not going to have too much of an opportunity to strengthen. Then we have Renee, pass through the Cabo Verde Islands, and this is going to struggle a little bit. It's kind of close proximity to Paulette. Either one of these, both of them, almost no chance of making it over to the islands over here, the Lesser Antilles, nor the east coast of the United States. I don't think that's going to happen just the way the pattern is. But if we expand out and look at the 5-day outlook here, you got Paulette, you got Renee, and then this is going to be Sally. And this is the one we really have to watch. Not ignoring this feature, but I'm not real concerned with it because the overall pattern is just not one that is going to support much development with 94L. So looking at the satellite animation here, courtesy of Levi's site, tropicaltidbits.com, here's 94L, and it's rather discombobulated, not a very healthy environment overall. Nevertheless, it could organize some as it moves in towards the coast, probably northeast South Carolina, eastern North Carolina, something like that, maybe as a tropical depression. And yes, it will bring heavy rains, rough surf, impacts, absolutely. But I don't see this becoming a major threat for wind and storm surge. Meanwhile, there's Paulette trying to organize out here, but there is some dry air and some shear waiting for it just to the west. And then here's Renee, kind of loosely organized still, but a very, very solid pocket of energy associated with it, with both of these systems, originating as African waves, as we call them, these African easterly waves, these AEWs. And then there's another one getting ready to come off down here at a lower latitude that I believe is going to have a lot of people's attention over the coming days. Let's look at these from a vorticity perspective. Again, not much here to really write home about with 94L, kind of, it's not shaped, it's not round, it's not bundling, still has sort of an amorphous shape. And even to that end, so does Paulette, but this is more, you can see where the energy is bundled, and that's pretty good. This is just some energy coming out of the intertropical convergence zone, more vorticity down there. And the same thing with Renee, pretty well organized, but some additional vorticity to its south, just kind of showing you how much energy is out there. And there's definitely a lot. And another way to look at this, I love this product from the University of Wisconsin, the total precipitable water. Here's our twin systems here. There's Paulette rotating around. There's Renee. And then look at this. You can clearly see counterclockwise turning with this system. And then just a little bit right there with 94L. So that's 4 systems right now. And then there's even more back over interior Africa, almost all the way over to the Ethiopian highlands, that the models are jumping on over the next couple of weeks. And we're not even in a very favorable phase of the Madden-Julian oscillation, and yet we're getting this development. That is supposed to swing back around into the favorable phases later on in the month towards the end of September. And when that happens, we're going to seriously break records here. We're going to start getting the ACE scores up because these are eventually going to develop. I think we're going to get a couple of hurricanes. So the accumulated cyclone energy, the measurement of how strong the season has been. I mean, look at southwest Louisiana. 12 days after landfall, not much attention in the mainstream media. I'm hearing people talking about that. But 95% of those areas, Calcasieu Parish, Cameron Parish, still without power. Huge impact event there. Not a major population area. If it had been Houston, everybody would be up in arms about it. We've had major impacts already. Isaias in southeast North Carolina, wrecked the beaches there that are very vulnerable now. And then again with Laura. So we're getting into a time period here where it's going to become more important perhaps than any time this season to really stay on top of things. If you're in the islands and points west, I mean, obviously. Bermuda, you got to watch there. Howard, I'm talking to you, buddy. The Canadian Maritimes. This next 2 to 3 week time frame could be extremely busy with not just tracking systems, but the potential for some high impact systems as well. So let's look at these from a model perspective real quick. The guidance here from 6Z with 94L, generally speaking towards the North Carolina coast over the next few days. But that's one way to look at it. Then you look at it from the intensity perspective, and you could argue that some of the guidance here makes it some of it's darn near hurricane, but I don't see it. And generally the global models are just meh. So if we just kind of go down an eyeball median here, like a mean, maybe somewhere in there. So maybe a tropical storm, maybe. The main thing to look at with 94L, if it develops, it'll bring rain, rough seas, rip currents, some coastal flooding, but not a real big impact system. Paulette, kind of a range of possibilities overall. Lots of model guidance for that. Generally speaking, the global model is not very excited about it getting too far to the west. And the wind shear hits soon, and then down most of the intensity guidance goes. There's a few outliers here that try to go up. The general envelope is for a gradual weakening in the face of shear, and the shear helps to inject drier air into the system, and it doesn't have a chance to strengthen very much, and probably even weakens. Renee, almost a certainty, 100%. I'm like 98% sure this will curve on out to the open Atlantic. There's the Cabo Verde Islands, and this passed right through there yesterday, and pretty decent envelope. It's not like with this one strange model here. Overall, the guidance envelope is fairly clustered, except at the 4 and 5 days, which it makes sense. But this is not going to affect land any longer after it passes through the islands there to the west of Africa. A couple things to note real quick as we try to wrap it up, and then I want to get out and into the snow. Very favorable. We've got the La Nina coming on. I mean, we're pretty much there. Very warm Atlantic, which is a stark contrast. These are anomalies. Very, very warm compared to average. And the main development region, quite warm. The northwest Atlantic, very warm. The Gulf has warmed back up after the wake of Marco and Laura. We really, really have to pay attention here over the next few weeks. Lots of activity coming. We can see that reflected in the euro. This is last night's run. This is the initial. There's 94L. There's P for Paulette, R for Renee. And then this is a system that's coming later. Probably going to be Sally. So let's look at it. 24 hours out. 48 and 72. A little bit of reflection there in the euro from 94L. This is Thursday night. Again, I'm not too concerned with it. And then there's Paulette, there's Renee, and there's Sally to be, coming right off of Dakar, right on the west part of Africa there. So that's 72 hours, 96, 120, and we'll just look days 6 and 7. This is what I mean. Patterns trying to change, building high pressure over the northwest part of the Atlantic Basin and on into the continental United States even. Trough lifting out here, heights building back over the Atlantic. Once this lifts out, once we see what happens with I guess that's Paulette that tries to re-energize. Is that right? Let me go back and see. Yes. Maybe Bermuda has to deal with Paulette. And then, of course, we really have to watch what would be Sally. And then there's Teddy behind, possibly, and more energy over Africa. Unbelievable. Well, it's not unbelievable. We saw it coming. Months ago, the pattern was showing itself in the sea surface temperature anomalies, the overall upward motion, the standing wave over Africa, the Indian Ocean. We've seen Eric Webb, Jack Sillen's been talking about it, Ben Knoll, and plenty of others. We saw this coming. So stay on top of it. Don't get upset. Don't worry. Worrying doesn't help. Taking action, being smart about it, being educated does help. And that's what I'll try to help you do. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up, post it on YouTube. Don't forget, we are supported by our patrons on Patreon. It's growing. And if you want to be a part of that, the link is right there. It's also in the description of this video. And they get access to these videos first, just so you know. And then about a half hour later, I make them public. Yeah, just one of the things. If you become a sustaining member, that's one of the perks. All right, so let me get out and about in the Denver area and go see some snow. I'll have another update for you tomorrow, of course. And hopefully I can get the graphics back from Kari. That would be great. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. As always, thanks for tuning in. I'm Mark Sudduth from Denver, Colorado. Weird saying that. HurricaneTrack.com. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.